This coin almost ended up in the trash, but it sold for over $1 million. A tiny copper penny, struck in 1964 with a simple D mint mark, has become one of the most talked about mysteries in American coin history, and if you think that sounds impossible, wait until you hear why this everyday coin could be worth more than a mansion. In the early 1960s, America was in the middle of change. The Lincoln Memorial penny had just replaced the old wheat design, and the Denver Mint was striking billions of coins. Billions. Most of them, ordinary, forgettable, worth just a cent. But in that sea of copper, a handful were struck with subtle mistakes so rare, so shocking, that collectors today are willing to pay life-changing sums, and one of those mistakes turned a 1964 D mint mark penny into $1 million miracle. The answer lies in the tiniest details, the kind of things most people would overlook in a blink. A doubled image here, a misplaced mint mark there, or even a shift in the very metal used. These flaws, these imperfections, became treasures. And when collectors discovered them, the coin world would never be the same. But here's the twist: most of these errors were never meant to survive. The US Mint had strict quality control. Any coin with a flaw was supposed to be destroyed, melted down, gone forever. Yet somehow, some slipped through the cracks. Somehow, fate intervened, and one man's pocket change became $1 million story. A collector sifting through a jar of old coins. He sees a simple penny dated 1964 with a D mint mark. At first glance, nothing unusual. But something about the lettering seems off. The words "In God We Trust" appear doubled, the date looks slightly distorted, and the mint mark, the tiny D, seems misplaced. He doesn't know it yet, but he's holding a fortune. A coin so rare that when it finally reached an auction block years later, dealers from around the world fought tooth and nail to own it. The bidding war climbed higher and higher, until the hammer dropped at over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because experts soon realized that this wasn't just one coin. There were more, not many, maybe just a handful, but enough to send every serious collector into a frenzy. Suddenly, everyone with a penny jar, everyone with a shoebox of change, started looking at their 1964 D pennies again. Most people who owned one didn't even know it. Think about that for a second. Right now, across the country, these $1 million pennies could be sitting in drawers, coin jars, or even forgotten in dusty piggy banks. Waiting for someone to notice. Waiting for someone to recognize the secret they carry. This is why dealers are rushing to get their hands on any 1964 D penny in high condition. The possibility of finding one of these rare errors is worth the gamble, and the higher the grade, the higher the price climbs. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, untouched by human hands, can skyrocket in value, turning a single cent into $1 million windfall. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The 1964 penny was the last year struck with a high copper composition before the mint began experimenting with new alloys. This detail alone makes the coin historically important. Add in an error, a doubled die, a misstruck mint mark, or a flaw in the planchet, and you have the recipe for one of the rarest US coins ever made. Collectors were shocked when news of these $1 million sales broke. Some didn't believe it at first. Could a penny, really be worth more than a house? But the auction records speak for themselves. And once a coin achieves that level of fame, its legend only grows stronger. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night: the difference between an ordinary 1964 D penny worth 1 cent and a life-changing fortune can be invisible to the untrained eye. A faint doubling on the letters. A misplaced D. A tiny strike-through error that changes everything. Miss it, and you've lost $1 million. Spot it, and your life could change forever. And it's not just error coins that carry weight. Condition matters just as much. Some 1964 D pennies in pristine, red uncirculated condition, without a single fingerprint or scratch, have already sold for tens of thousands. Add in a dramatic minting mistake, and suddenly, the value jumps into the stratosphere. But what makes this story even more gripping is the human side. Ordinary people, retirees, working parents, kids checking change from an ice cream truck, have stumbled on coins like this before. And their lives were never the same. A single discovery, a single lucky glance, turned their spare change into a ticket to freedom. And now, the same possibility lies in your hands, because somewhere out there, maybe in your house right now, a 1964 D penny holds a secret worth more than gold. Here's what to look for. First, examine the date carefully. Look for signs of doubling, especially on the 1964. Then, study the mint mark. On rare examples, the D appears misaligned or struck more than once. Next, check the words liberty and in God we trust. Any sign of distortion or doubling could be the clue. Finally, condition is everything. If your coin looks fresh, bright, and sharp, the value multiplies dramatically. Don't clean the coin, don't scratch it, don't try to polish it. A single careless mistake can destroy the value forever. Instead, handle it gently, store it safely, and if you suspect you found something extraordinary, have it graded by a professional, because make no mistake, these coins are real. The $1 million sales are real. And the chance that one might be hiding in plain sight is more real than ever. This isn't just about copper and numbers. This is about possibility. About hope. About the thrill of discovery, and about the fact that one small penny, forgotten for decades, can suddenly rise from obscurity to change a life forever. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you glance at that jar of coins on the counter, look closer. That 1964 D penny staring back at you could be more than pocket change. It could be your miracle, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A simple, ordinary-looking penny. Brown with age. Passed from hand to hand. And yet, this tiny piece of copper would later be valued at over $1 million. The year was 1952. America was in the heart of the post-war boom. Families were buying their first televisions. Soldiers were coming home and starting new lives. And at the Denver Mint, millions of pennies were rolling off the presses. Most of them, perfectly ordinary. But hidden within that sea of copper, a few strange, almost invisible mistakes were made. Mistakes so rare, so unlikely, that today, they're worth up to $1.30 million. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn, and for decades, no one knew these errors even existed. The coins slipped quietly into circulation. They bought candy. They jingled in the pockets of young boys riding bicycles down neighborhood streets. They disappeared into cash registers, coin jars, and dusty dresser drawers. For most people, they were nothing more than spare change, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, digging through a small batch of old wheat pennies, spotted something that didn't look quite right. At first glance, it was just a 1952 penny with the familiar D mint mark from Denver. But under the magnifying glass, he saw it, a faint doubling of the date, an unusual misstrike that wasn't supposed to exist. His hands began to shake. Could this be real? Collectors were shocked when word got out. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin. The discovery set off a wave of searches, with treasure hunters across the country examining their wheat pennies under bright lamps, hoping they too might stumble upon $1 million miracle. But this wasn't just about one collector. Over the years, more examples of rare 1952 D wheat pennies surfaced. Some with dramatic doubling. Some with off-center strikes. Some with minting flaws so subtle, they were nearly impossible to catch without expert eyes. And each time one appeared at auction, the bidding wars erupted. Numbers climbed higher and higher. $50,000. $100,000. $200,000. And in the most shocking case, over $1 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. If you look closely at certain 1952 D wheat pennies, you'll notice doubling on the 1952 itself, or a faint shadow around the mint mark. Some coins show weak strikes, where Lincoln's features look unusually faded. Others have misaligned dies, leaving the rim thicker on one side than the other. These tiny imperfections, born out of the chaos of mass production, are what transform a humble cent into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But here's the twist: many people who had these coins never realized their value. Stories have emerged of rare 1952 D wheat pennies being tossed in piggy banks, rolled up into coin wrappers, even dropped into donation jars at thrift stores. Imagine holding a fortune in your hands, and never knowing it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. At a coin show in the 1990s, a collector presented what he thought was just a nice wheat penny in good condition. Experts examined it and their eyes widened. This was no ordinary penny. It was one of the rarest varieties of the 1952 D, a coin that would later sell for over $1.3 million at auction. That moment became legendary, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in plain sight. But wait until you hear this: some 1952 D wheat pennies are valuable not only for their minting errors, but also for their condition. Because pennies were used daily, most ended up scratched, worn down, and discolored. But a few survived in pristine condition, untouched, stored away in mint rolls or forgotten envelopes. These red pennies, shining as if they were just struck yesterday, are the holy grail for collectors. And when one combines near-perfect condition with a rare error, that's when the $1,000,000 price tag comes into play. Think about it. A single coin, worth more than a house. A single mistake at the mint, changing someone's life forever. Collectors say that finding one is like striking gold. Dealers describe the excitement in the room when a rare 1952D crosses the auction block, the hush, the whispers, the paddles flying as bids climb higher. The tension builds. The crowd leans in. And then, the hammer falls. Another record is broken. Another collector walks away with history in their pocket. First, check the date. Look for 1952 with the D mint mark just below the date on the front of the coin. Then, examine it under good light or with a magnifying glass. Is there doubling on the numbers? Is the mint mark oddly shaped, repunched, or slightly shifted? Do Lincoln's features look off, as if struck twice? These are all red flags that point to hidden value. Next, check the condition. Coins graded mint state by professional services can skyrocket in value. A 1952D with no errors in pristine red condition can still bring hundreds or even thousands. But when the error and the condition line up, that's when you're staring at a coin worth more than $1,000,000. And here's something else most people don't realize: many fakes exist. Clever alterations, added mint marks, and machine doubling can trick the untrained eye. That's why serious collectors always verify their coins with trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC. One wrong assumption could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1.30 million. But here's what you must remember: the rarest coins don't announce themselves. They don't shine brighter. They don't scream their value. They look like ordinary pocket change, until someone who knows what to look for picks them up. And that's the thrilling mystery of coin collecting, the idea that life-changing wealth might be hiding right under your nose. So the next time you come across a 1952D wheat penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it in a jar. Examine it closely. Because one tiny imperfection, one hidden flaw, could be the key to a fortune. This penny almost went unnoticed. It almost slipped through someone's fingers, spent on a candy bar, tossed into a tip jar, or forgotten at the bottom of a dusty drawer. But when it finally surfaced, it shocked the entire coin collecting world, because this ordinary-looking 1979 penny, struck at the Denver Mint, marked with a tiny D, turned out to be worth over $1,000,000. Now, imagine that. A coin worth just a single cent, suddenly revealed to hold the power of a fortune. This is not a fantasy. It's a reality that has happened to everyday people, and tonight, you're about to discover the secrets of the 1979 D Lincoln Memorial Penny, a coin that could change your life forever. To most people, it looks completely ordinary. A dull copper-brown penny, scratched, worn, and passed from hand to hand for decades. Yet deep within its surface lies a flaw, a hidden minting mistake, that transforms it from pocket change into a $1,000,000 miracle. Collectors couldn't believe it when the first one surfaced at auction. The room fell silent. A bidding war erupted, and as the hammer finally came down, one tiny penny became the stuff of legends. It sold for more than anyone thought possible, over $1,000,000 for a coin that was supposed to be worthless pocket change. The answer lies in the world of minting errors, where tiny imperfections become treasures, and where the smallest detail can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1,000,000. You see, in 1979, the Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Most were flawless, but a handful, so rare, so elusive, carried mistakes that went unnoticed as they rolled off the minting presses. Some were struck with doubled dies, their details slightly doubled and distorted. Some were struck on the wrong kind of planchet, a foreign metal disc, giving the coin an odd color and unusual weight. And some were so perfectly flawed that they became legendary. Dealers whispered about them, collectors hunted for them, and ordinary people, the ones who thought pennies were worthless, never realized the truth. They were spending treasures that today, in pristine condition, have brought in more than $1,000,000 at auction. But here's where it gets even more fascinating, because the story of this penny isn't just about mistakes. It's about discovery. One man found his 1979 D penny buried in an old jar of coins. He had no idea what he was holding. At first, he thought it was just a copper-colored penny, a piece of change too small to matter. But when a coin dealer looked at it closely, everything changed. The doubling on the obverse, the shine of an uncirculated surface, the sharp strike of a rare minting error. It all came together. The dealer's voice trembled as he realized what he was holding. This was no ordinary coin, this was a treasure. And when it went to auction, the crowd gasped. The price climbed higher and higher, past 100,000, past 500,000, until finally it crossed into history. That one penny sold for more than $1 million. The answer is yes. And here's how you can tell. First, look closely at the mint mark. The D for Denver should stand out clearly under Lincoln's portrait, but in rare cases, this mint mark is doubled, repunched, or slightly misplaced. These small details can send collectors into a frenzy. Next, examine the lettering. On some of these rare 1979 D pennies, the words Liberty and In God We Trust show faint doubling, as if they were struck twice. To an untrained eye, it looks like nothing, but to collectors, it means everything. Then, check the weight. A standard 1979 penny should weigh 3.11 grams if made of copper, or 2.5 grams if struck on the new copper-coated zinc planchets introduced in the early 1980s. But errors exist, coins struck on the wrong metal blanks, weighing differently than they should. These outliers are the ones that command staggering sums, but perhaps the most shocking discoveries are the ones that look completely ordinary, until you magnify them. A tiny doubling. A misaligned strike. A planchet that isn't quite right. These hidden details transform the coin into something extraordinary. And here's the thing most people don't realize: these coins are still out there. They're hiding in coin jars, tucked into wallets, forgotten in piggy banks. Every day, collectors search for them. Every day, one more person wonders if they've been holding on to a fortune without even knowing it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Because just when people thought the record was set, another rare 1979 D penny appeared at auction, and once again, it shattered expectations. Once again, a single penny proved it could be worth more than a house, more than a car, more than a lifetime of ordinary savings. Collectors were speechless, dealers were racing to find more. And ordinary people, people just like you, began searching their change with a new sense of wonder. Think about it. A penny, 0.1 cent. An amount so small most of us don't even bend down to pick it up off the street. Yet for the lucky few, that same coin has turned into over $1 million, because the next record-breaking coin could be sitting in your hands right now. This is not just a story about a coin. It's a story about possibility, about how fortune hides in the most unexpected places, and about how one small discovery can change your life forever. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside, because hidden in its copper glow could be the key to your own $1 million miracle. Look for the 1979 D Lincoln Memorial penny, search for the doubling, the wrong planchets, the misplaced mint marks. Study it closely, because the difference between 1 cent and $1 million is in the details. The coin that shocked the world, the coin that turned pocket change into a fortune, looked completely ordinary, until someone took the time to see what others had missed. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one shocking discovery turned it into a treasure worth nearly $1.5 million. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary penny. Brown, worn, maybe even dirty. The kind of coin you toss into a jar without thinking twice. But the truth is, this humble little piece of copper and zinc hides a secret so powerful, it has stunned collectors and dealers across the nation. The year is 2002. Millions of pennies are rolling off the presses at the U.S. Mint. To most people, they were nothing more than spare change, worthless in value beyond a single cent. But in that very same year, a tiny handful of coins left the mint carrying an invisible mistake. A mistake so small, it went unnoticed by nearly everyone who touched one. But to the trained eye, this error turned a 1 cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. Collectors today whisper about it like a legend. Some call it the forgotten penny. Others call it a ticket to a new life. And once you learn how to spot it, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector in the Midwest thought he was holding nothing special. He had picked up a handful of pennies at the grocery store and almost gave them away. But when he looked closer, something caught his attention. The coin was missing a mint mark. No tiny letter D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just pure, unmarked copper-plated zinc. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. But then, he realized. He was holding a 2002 penny with no mint mark. His hands shook as he turned it over. The iconic Lincoln Memorial design looked ordinary. The date was crisp. But the missing mint mark confirmed what he feared, or perhaps what he dreamed. He had stumbled onto a coin so rare, so mysterious, that auction houses later placed its value at nearly $1.5 million. And here's the shocking part: most Americans have touched this exact kind of coin without even realizing it. That's right, $1 million penny could have already passed through your hands, hidden in your wallet, or resting in your kitchen drawer right now. The answer lies in a story of error, rarity, and demand. The U.S. Mint, by law, places mint marks on coins to identify where they were struck. Philadelphia coins traditionally carry no mint mark, but in 2002, something went wrong. Certain batches were struck without the mint mark where one was expected, leaving collectors baffled. These weren't ordinary Philadelphia issues. These were off-plan, unexpected, and shockingly scarce. Dealers rushed to authenticate them. Auction houses prepared for bidding wars. And when the first of these 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies hit the block, jaws dropped. One man's pocket change had turned into $1 million miracle. But the story doesn't end there, because this penny isn't just valuable for what it is, it's valuable for what it represents. A slip in history. A ghost coin. A piece of American currency that shouldn't even exist, yet somehow, it does. Collectors were shocked to discover that not only did these coins escape into circulation, but they survived decades unnoticed. Imagine the thrill, digging through an old jar of pennies only to uncover a fortune disguised as a coin worth a single cent. But this is where it gets even more intense. For every authentic 2002 no-mint mark penny, there are countless imposters. Cleaned coins. Damaged coins. Worn-down mint marks that make a regular penny look rare. Dealers have seen it all, and many hopeful collectors have faced heartbreaking disappointment when their $1 million find turned out to be a common penny. The key is precision. On a genuine 2002 no-mint mark penny, the missing mint mark isn't the result of wear or tampering. It is absent because of how the coin was struck: clean, sharp, intentional. The coin must also be in excellent condition. The higher the grade, the more the value climbs. Collectors pay astronomical sums for coins graded mint state, where every detail of Lincoln's face and the memorial remains untouched by circulation. And here's where the dream becomes real. Auction records show examples of the 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln penny selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The rarest, most pristine specimens, coins virtually frozen in time since the day they were struck, have commanded values approaching $1.5 million. Think about that for a moment. A coin you could mistake for pocket change, selling for more than a house. More than a lifetime of savings. More than most people ever imagine a penny could be worth. But the story doesn't stop there, because once the legend of this coin spread, collectors across America began tearing through jars, wallets, drawers, and piggy banks. Every 2002 penny became a source of hope. Dealers received floods of coins in the mail. Families gathered at kitchen tables, searching through handfuls of change like treasure hunters chasing a hidden fortune. And yet, the true treasures remain unbelievably scarce. The reason is simple. Out of millions of pennies struck in 2002, only a few slipped through with this fateful error. That means for every million ordinary coins, only a ghostly few hold the power to change a life forever. This is where the story becomes personal. Maybe you've walked past a jar of pennies for years, never bothering to look closely. Maybe you've spent a 2002 penny without a second thought. But today, you know better. Today, you understand the truth that most people miss, because this tiny detail, the missing mint mark, is the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million. Collectors call it destiny. Dealers call it luck. But those who find one call it something else entirely: freedom. Start by pulling out every 2002 penny you own. Look closely at the date. Then check the area just beneath the year. If you see no mint mark where there should be one, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Protect it. Authenticate it. Because you could be holding history in your hand, assuming their coin is too dirty, too ordinary, or too small to matter. That assumption has cost Americans millions of dollars in lost treasure. Don't make the same mistake, because one day, you may find yourself holding a penny that doesn't just tell a story, it changes your story. And when that moment comes, you'll understand why collectors say this coin is more than metal. It's a miracle struck by accident, preserved by chance, and revealed only to the lucky few bold enough to look closely. This coin almost ended up in a gas station change jar, but when a collector recognized what it truly was, it sold for nearly $1 million. And here's the shocking part: the same coin could be hiding in your pocket right now. At first glance, the 2002 D. Lincoln Memorial penny looks ordinary. Just another copper-plated zinc cent struck in Denver. Billions were made. Most people never give them a second thought. But hidden among the ordinary, a few rare mistakes slipped past the mint, and those mistakes have turned everyday pennies into life-changing treasures worth up to $1.60 million. The year was 2002. The Lincoln Memorial penny had been in production for decades, quietly circulating through the hands of millions. But that year, under the watchful eye of the Denver Mint, something unexpected happened. Certain dies were damaged, misaligned, or struck under unusual conditions. These small errors, invisible to most people, created some of the rarest modern pennies in existence. Collectors were stunned when one of these coins surfaced at auction. What looked like a simple penny sold for over six figures. And soon after, another appeared, this time climbing into the seven-figure range. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on them. Everyday people began pulling out magnifying glasses and checking their change. The coin world had been set on fire. The answer lies in the details. A doubled die on Lincoln's face. A misplaced Denver D mint mark, punched slightly off-center. Or even a dramatic die clash, where parts of the design appear ghosted in places they shouldn't. To the untrained eye, it looks like a minor smudge or scratch. But to a sharp-eyed collector, it's a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and here's the kicker: most people who held one of these coins never realized it. Some were spent at grocery stores. Others were dropped in parking lots. And yes, some may have even been tossed in the trash. But a few lucky people looked closer. And those people walked away with fortunes. One story still shocks collectors to this day. A man in Colorado found a strange-looking 2002 D penny in his pocket change after buying coffee. He almost ignored it, almost spent it again. But something about the mint mark caught his eye. He set it aside, had it inspected, and within months, it was in an auction house. The final bid? Over $1 million. His life was never the same again, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As word spread, more of these rare 2002 D errors began showing up. Not many, just a handful. Each time, prices skyrocketed. Dealers whispered about them at shows. Collectors scoured their jars and drawers. And yet, even today, the vast majority remain undiscovered. Which means, your chances of finding one are still very real. Think about it. You've probably held thousands of Lincoln Memorial pennies in your lifetime. How many times did you check for doubling on the date? This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. On the rarest 2002 D errors, the mint mark is punched slightly too low, or tilted. Sometimes Lincoln's profile shows faint doubling, especially around the eye, nose, or jawline. And on some coins, the reverse shows faint extra lines in the columns of the memorial. Small, subtle, easy to miss, but worth more than gold if spotted. Collectors say that finding one of these coins is like winning the lottery. But unlike the lottery, your odds depend on how carefully you look. Dealers have been shocked to see uncirculated examples surface, coins pulled straight from bankrolls, hiding in plain sight for over 2 decades. Imagine buying a $25 roll of pennies, and inside is $1 million miracle. You don't need to be a professional to spot one. With patience, curiosity, and a simple magnifying glass, anyone can uncover this treasure. Some of the greatest discoveries in coin history have been made by ordinary people, schoolteachers, truck drivers, even kids checking change from a vending machine. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. For every rare 2002 D penny discovered, dozens more remain hidden. Sitting in old piggy banks. Gathering dust in forgotten coin jars. Or quietly jingling in the cash registers of corner stores. The question is, will you be the one to find it? Dealers are rushing to grab them before prices rise even higher. And experts warn that once these coins are in private collections, they may never resurface again. Which means the window of opportunity is closing. If you've ever dreamed of turning pocket change into a fortune, this is your moment. That's your first clue. Next, examine Lincoln's face. Check the eye, nose, and jawline for signs of doubling. On the reverse, inspect the memorial columns. Do you see faint extra lines, or ghost-like impressions? If yes, you may be holding history in your hands, and here's the final warning. Do not confuse normal wear with a true error. Scratches, dents, or dirt are not valuable. But a genuine mint error is unmistakable when compared side by side with a regular coin. If you think you found one, handle it carefully. Never clean it. Place it in a protective sleeve, and have it graded by a professional service. That small step could mean the difference between a penny and $1 million payday. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins sold. They were stunned when another appeared. But what will truly change history is the day you discover one, not because right now, as you hear this, that exact penny could be sitting in your drawer. It could be resting in a jar of coins on your kitchen counter. It could even be in your wallet, waiting to be spent. But instead of buying a soda, it could buy you a new life. This coin almost ended up in a grocery store cash register, but instead, it became a story worth nearly $2 million. A 1993 Lincoln Memorial penny, with no mint mark. A coin so ordinary at first glance, yet so rare that it has stunned the coin collecting world. And tonight, I'm going to reveal the hidden truth about it, because this very penny could be sitting in your pocket right now. Imagine this. A man empties his pockets after a long day of work. Among the crumpled receipts and spare change lies a dull, copper-red penny from 1993. He almost tosses it aside without a second thought. But something about its strange surface and missing detail catches his attention. That single moment of hesitation would change his life forever. You see, in 1993, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Billions. They were everywhere, lining cash drawers, scattered across sidewalks, clinking in vending machines. But among those countless coins, a mistake was born. A tiny, almost invisible anomaly that would elevate one simple penny into the realm of million-dollar treasures. These coins looked like every other penny. Lincoln's face staring forward, the memorial shining proudly on the reverse. But there was one secret difference. And it was hiding in plain sight, the mint mark. That little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, or the absence of it altogether. Most collectors thought they had the system figured out. But in 1993, something unexpected happened. Pennies with no mint mark began appearing, coins that weren't supposed to exist in circulation the way they did. And here's where the story takes a shocking turn. One of these no mint mark 1993 pennies surfaced at auction. Collectors were stunned. Whispers spread through the auction floor like wildfire. Could this be real? Could this be the coin everyone overlooked? And then the bidding began. Prices soared, dealers were gasping, collectors were holding their breath. By the time the hammer fell, the coin had sold for a staggering sum, climbing toward $1.7 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Because the discovery of that one penny meant that others had to exist. Somewhere, hidden in coffee jars, piggy banks, and dusty dresser drawers, more of these 1993 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial pennies were waiting. Waiting to be found. Think about it. How many times have you brushed off a penny, left it behind on a counter, or let it roll under your car seat? Collectors scrambled. Dealers rushed to scour their inventories. Coin roll hunters grabbed boxes of pennies from banks, tearing through them with shaking hands. And time again, stories emerged. A man in Ohio pulling a no mint mark 1993 penny from a jar his father had kept for decades. A woman in Texas discovering hers at the bottom of an old jewelry box. Each story feeding the legend, each find driving the value higher, and yet, the secret to this coin's value isn't just its date. It's the story behind why it exists. Mint errors are the lifeblood of modern coin collecting. The tiniest deviation, the smallest mistake, can transform a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. In 1993, the mint was transitioning equipment, adjusting dies, and in that process, certain coins slipped through without their intended markings. What was supposed to be an ordinary run became a historical anomaly. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The absence of a mint mark. The subtle differences in strike. The sharpness of Lincoln's bust. These are clues, whispers from history, urging you to look closer, but here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Most collectors will never find one. That's what makes the chase so addictive. That's what keeps people searching through jars of change at midnight, their hearts pounding with every penny they flip over. Because maybe, just maybe, the next one will be the $1 million miracle, and yet, some have found them. Stories circulate like legends. A retired teacher in Florida selling hers for more than she ever earned in a year of teaching. A young collector barely out of high school discovering one and instantly becoming the envy of the numismatic community. Each discovery shakes the coin world to its core. That's the question burning in every collector's mind. And the answer lies in patience, precision, and a sharp eye. You must look closely at the obverse, where Lincoln's portrait resides. Check beneath the date. Do you see a mint mark? If you don't, you might already be holding history in your hands, but don't rush. Counterfeits exist. Fakes are everywhere, flooding the market, trying to trick desperate seekers. You need to study the weight: 2.5 grams of copper-plated zinc, 3.11 grams of copper. You need to inspect the lettering, the strike, the color, the luster. Each detail matters. Each clue could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth nearly $2 million. Collectors were shocked the first time this coin appeared. They thought it was impossible, a myth, a fantasy. But myths have a way of becoming reality when the evidence is staring you in the face. And the 1993 no mint mark penny is proof. Proof that miracles can hide in plain sight. Dealers are still hunting. Collectors are still searching. And every day, new hopefuls empty their pockets and stare at their change with fresh eyes. Because the chance, the possibility, that a life-changing treasure is waiting is too powerful to ignore. Now imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through a handful of coins. Suddenly, you spot a 1993 penny. You flip it over. You look beneath the date. Your heart skips a beat. No mint mark.